Okay, so right now, in boardrooms all over the world, there's this massive push for what seems like a simple fix. Replace IT workers with AI to cut costs and look modern. It sounds super futuristic, incredibly efficient, and, of course, profitable. But this is a high-stakes gamble, and it might just have consequences nobody is seeing coming. Let's get into it.
And yeah, that's really the big question we're tackling here. Is this frantic rush to automate a brilliant strategic move, the silver bullet that solves everything at once? Or is it a landmine, just sitting there waiting to blow up and cause some truly catastrophic damage? As you're about to see, the answer is, well, it's a lot more complicated than you might think.
So, what's the rush? Why is everyone sprinting towards this? Well, the pressure on business leaders to adopt AI is absolutely immense. And it's not just one thing, it's more like a perfect storm of different factors, all creating this sense of urgency that's almost impossible to ignore. What's so interesting here is how all these motivations just feed right into each other. So first, you've got this intense financial pressure to slash spending. Then you've got the whole AI hype cycle, being pushed by vendors and media, creating these wild expectations of what AI can actually do. Add in the very real fear of being left in the dust by your competitors, and then you top it all off with these splashy success stories you hear about from the big tech companies, and what you get is a boardroom where jumping headfirst into AI feels like the only move you can make. But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. This rush to replace people with code, it often kicks off a whole cascade of hidden, interconnected risks. And we're not talking about small bumps in the road here. We're talking about fundamental problems that can threaten the stability of the entire company. Let's make this real. This isn't just theory. We're going to look at a real-world case of a major bank that thought it had found the perfect shortcut. A single decision that ended up costing them a jaw-dropping $75 million. So how did this all go down? Well, it started with a decision that looked great on a spreadsheet. Cut the IT staff by 40% and let a new AI system handle things like software updates. But then the AI, without any human context or oversight, pushed out a bunch of incompatible patches. And boom, critical systems started failing. The skeleton crew that was left was totally overwhelmed, and they didn't have that deep, baked-in knowledge that their old colleagues had. They just couldn't find the problem. The result? A total system-wide outage that lasted for 2 full days. And here is the financial punchline. $75 million. Gone. Between the direct losses and the regulatory fines. That one outage cost the bank way, way more than they ever could have saved by cutting their staff. So the so-called shortcut, it turned out to be the most expensive road they could have possibly taken. A huge part of the problem is this dangerous disconnect between what the board thinks is going to happen and what's actually possible. Boards are looking at quarterly reports, right? So they want a complete transformation in maybe 2 or 3 years. But the technical reality of getting even 50% automation for complex stuff, that's closer to 20 years. And that huge gap creates enormous pressure to cut corners. And yep, all those cut corners, they come with a hefty price tag. This chart tells a story we see all the time. The projected savings from AI look absolutely fantastic. But the actual savings, barely a fraction of that. And why? Because the projections don't account for all the massive hidden costs. Integrating the new systems, retraining people, new vendor contracts, and just all the productivity you lose during a messy transition. Now this isn't just a tech problem. It's a massive trust problem. A staggering 73% of employees, the people on the front lines who actually use the technology, they doubt that their own managers truly get the limitations of these AI systems. That is a huge confidence gap between the boardroom and the server room. And when you let experienced people go, this is what you're really losing. The formal, documented knowledge, the stuff you find in manuals, that's only about 20 to 30% of what actually keeps a company running. The other 70 to 80%, that's what we call tacit knowledge. It's the undocumented workarounds, the gut feelings, the intuitive understanding of how things really work, the "I've seen this weird glitch before" kind of wisdom that you just can't program into an AI. So when you put this all together, you get this dangerous domino effect. Losing that tacit knowledge leads to instability and downtime. Rushing the new tech creates a mountain of technical debt for later. Your best remaining employees see the writing on the wall and they leave, creating a talent exodus. And all this chaos creates new, unexpected cybersecurity holes. Each risk just makes the next one worse, and you end up in a spiral of instability. Okay, so beyond all the technical and financial mess, there's a profound, often overlooked impact on a company's most valuable asset, its people.
And the damage here can be even harder to fix. Think about this for a second. Those entry-level IT jobs, that's the first rung on the career ladder. It's where the next generation of tech leaders gets their start, where they learn the ropes. By just automating all those roles away, companies are essentially sawing off the bottom of their own talent pipeline. So where do you think the senior experts of tomorrow are going to come from?
And what about the folks who are left? The survivors? Well, they often get hit with something called survivor syndrome. It's this toxic mix of feeling guilty for still having a job, being anxious that they're next on the chopping block, and a deep loss of motivation. This isn't just bad for morale. It directly tanks productivity and, ironically, causes even more of your best people to just quit.
Okay, so it sounds pretty bleak, right? It's clear the rip and replace strategy is just loaded with risk. But that doesn't mean AI has no place here. The key, the real game changer, is to shift the goal from replacement to partnership. And the data on this is honestly, it's crystal clear. Study after study shows that for complex work, hybrid teams where you have humans armed with AI tools, they dramatically outperform teams of just humans, and they blow AI-only systems out of the water. The real magic happens when you combine human creativity and intuition with the raw speed and power of AI. That's the opportunity so many companies are missing out on. So what does that smarter path actually look like? Well, first, automate specific repetitive tasks, not entire jobs. That frees up your people to do more valuable work. Second, you have to invest, and I mean seriously invest, in reskilling your workforce so they can actually use these new tools effectively. Third, you've got to redesign how work even gets done to take advantage of this new human-AI partnership. And finally, none of this works if you don't have a strong governance plan to manage all the risks. Which brings us right back to the fundamental choice. Look, the appeal of a quick, short-term win by cutting headcount is powerful. I get it. But as we've seen, the hidden costs, from catastrophic outages to a shattered talent pipeline, can absolutely destroy value in the long run. So the question every leader should be asking is this: is our AI strategy just a shortcut to savings, or is it a sustainable path to building real, long-term value?